will be permitted in the building. I felt by making that decision that we could better ensure the safety of our employees and the general public. And as we continue to navigate this rapidly evolving situation and follow in accordance with the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, our Ohio Department of Health with Dr. Amy Acton and Ohio Governor Mike DeWine's office, we are following the guidelines for social distancing, plus other things as we've learned from his stay-at-home order. I just want to reassure you that even though while City Hall will be closed to public access, again, our city services will continue to operate. The public can still find what they might need for utilities, zoning permits, payments, income tax, and general business can be conducted still by email or mail, by phone, by internet, or personally delivering something that needs to be dropped off in our receptacle at the rear entrance to City Hall. Our city administration and employees are still adhering to the avoid gathering of groups of more than 10 to help stop the spread of the novel coronavirus. I want to reassure you that the North Canton Police Department is continuing to answer calls for service in a timely manner, and again, to comply with social distancing and avoid the avoid the spreading of COVID-19. They'll handle nonviolent or non-action type reports over or by phone. However, if a walk-in report comes in, if you are a victim of violence or some other type that needs to have a walk-in presence, they can do that. They can handle that for you. Again, we want to keep our employees as safe as possible in helping our citizens, especially if they need police assistance. In regard to the North Canton Fire Department and EMS response, it continues to be done in a timely and safe manner. All we're asking is for our callers for service just need to be specific in detail, especially with the signs of COVID-19. So when you're calling 911 or calling in an emergency, just be specific so our risk dispatchers know what information they're receiving so they can give it out accurately. That, again, is so critical for any of our response, whether it's police or fire. To continue on, following the guidelines from the Centers of Disease Control and Crime and Prevention, part of a risk assessment for public health management persons, we spoke with the guidance of our fire chief, Chief Bacon. It was determined that it'd be good for us to do temperature monitoring for our employees. So starting back on March 19th, every employee who reports for work or reports for their shift will have their temperature monitored. That has been going very well, and we've been very, very cautious that we do have a threshold of 100. Just so you know, that those people will be retested that day, and given an opportunity to have a second or third test, because sometimes our body temperatures do fluctuate. But we are doing our own temperature monitoring, again, for our own health and well-being. So I would thank the fire department for doing that. I'd like to recap a few things for you, if I may. Again, we'll get into the stay-at-home order a little bit later, but for building and zoning, those operations are still going. They may be moderated at times because of contracts that we have out, and we're very conscious of that. We might be monitoring the supply and demand of materials for us to complete projects that we will have going higher in the future. So we're monitoring that very closely. Again, engineering, we're monitoring that too. Keep in mind, many of our projects already have grants, money available and provided for them. So there again, we have to monitor that progress so that we can still retain those grants and operate cooperatively with our contractors. So again, that's a work in progress, and it continues, and it's something that we're very aware of. In regards to park and recreation, I know Governor DeWine mentioned that, or stated in his stay-at-home order, that playgrounds are off limits. Ours are. We've tried to post some signs. We don't want anybody on the playground equipment. Our walking trail is still open at Price Park. You can still go out into the park and go for a walk, get some fresh air. All we're asking you is to stay off the playground equipment. I asked our park department also to close the skate park. There again, I just don't want to, I want to err on the side of caution and avoid any spread of the COVID-19. So the skate park will be closed until determined otherwise. You can do your Hoover Trail, go out for a walk. Our sidewalks are open, and the park you can still use. It's just that, please, no playground equipment used there at Dogwood Park and Eastwoods, and so just keep those places in mind. In regards to Arrowhead Country Club, yes, the clubhouse is, or the Arrowhead Country Club is closed. However, the golf course is open. There again, you have to monitor yourself with your social distancing, but carry-out food is available through the Civic Center, or excuse me, Arrowhead Country Club, but we're not going to close the golf course. You can still go out. However, you have to monitor your own social distancing on that. And in regards to our finance department, we're working very closely with our employees there. That again, we're watching everybody's health and well-being. If it comes down to where we have to limit their staff, their operations could be done remotely. So I just wanted to keep you aware of that. Income tax is still is going on. We have made a few capital projects on hold for right now. Again, we're traveling this coronavirus issue, so that we're watching our finances and keeping us stable, but knowing that there could be a few projects that will be placed on hold as we walk through this thing. Our water treatment plant is going strong. Our employees are there, and it's 24/7 operation. So we have no issues out there with supplying water to any of our customers or businesses and our homeowners. And so there's really nothing going on that's detrimental to our water treatment. Again, our fire department is responding timely in our calls, just asking you to be specific on what details that you need. I just received a update, let me get to it here, on Kimball. That question came up today, and Kimball is still is continuing their timely service for trash and garbage pickup. They are asking you, our patients, in the event of any service disruptions associated with COVID-19. However, the safety of their employees and customers are their number one priority also. So please continue to check their website for future updates. However, they're on schedule for recycling. And so I just want to reassure our citizens that trash and garbage and recycling is on schedule for right now. There again, if something transpires in the future, we'll know and we'll be able to share that information for you. Again, they have their recycling and waste disposal tips on their own Facebook, or go to their website. Folks, I want to remind you too, this came up, whether it's COVID-19 related or not. Again, when it comes to yard waste, all we have in the city of North Canton available to you is curbside. We do not have a location for any kind of recycling, like maybe in Jackson Township or Plain Township. We just don't have the space or area to compensate for that. So just to keep that in mind for you. Believe it or not, that question does come up during this time. In regards to conducting open meetings, I know last week in an interview with Mr. Fonte, one of our council members, I said that we would continue to have open meetings. However, things have changed since that time. in this crisis that we're going through with COVID-19. So in regards to conducting open meetings and just general administration activities, again, we suspended city council for tonight on March the 23rd, and we're going to cancel our planning commission meeting that's scheduled for April the 1st. And there's no city council meeting next week, and the next one will on March 30th. And actually, our next scheduled meeting would be April 1st. Just to recap, we did have 2 council meetings in the beginning of March. But in order, in general discussion with our administration and legal advice and contacts that we've had, in order to comply with conducting open meetings, I believe it is a bit unclear whether meetings are permitted via telephone or by a teleconference methods. And especially if we're under the guidelines of the CDC, the Ohio Department of Health, Governor DeWine stay-at-home order, and also under President Trump's coronavirus guidelines. So the question came up that was presented to state legislators as to what examples would be suffice to fulfill the public sector involvement. So that's really the reason why we postponed our council meetings, because I'd hate to see us enact something and have it not comply with open meetings and have the input by citizens. So we're going to put that on hold, and once we hopefully find out in the next week or two, we'll be able to know how we want to travel through this. I know some other city and townships and governments have closed or have canceled meetings, but in our instance, and some have gone on. I just want to err on the side of caution that we're doing the right thing so that the public sector has an opportunity to participate in an open meeting. Bottom line, folks, as we have gone through things, just follow the basic safety precautions that have been coming out all the time. Again, avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, or mouth. Stay home if you're sick, and return to work when you're feeling better. Cover your mouth, cough, or sneeze with a tissue, and throw that tissue away so it's not reused. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects and surfaces, and wash your hands thoroughly, often with soap and water for at least 60 seconds. I know in the city we've gone well in trying to get our sanitizers in all our locations for our employees, and we're monitoring our own equipment and our police and fire vehicles to make sure that our employees are protected, but also the citizens that we come in contact with. Folks, this is a work in progress, and I truly believe that I think our governor and our Ohio Department of Health Director, Dr. Acton, are doing the best they can for us. And in my observations, I think what's happening for our country is, and for our community just alone, we're just trying to find a balance to travel through this COVID-19 crisis, this pandemic health issue. And how do we balance our operations here are 24/7? How do you balance, your family life and your workplace and just the interaction you have with your friends and families? This is something that is unprecedented in my career and probably for our country. And so please keep in mind, we're just trying to keep some sense of balance in our daily lives, that we'll get through this thing, and we'll be strong through it, and that we'll do everything we can for each other to keep each of us safe and well. As I mentioned in my career, I've experienced a number of these things through law enforcement, whether it was Lyme disease, the HIV/AIDS issues that we had, the anthrax threats that we had, unfortunately our 9/11 tragedy, how our country came together and responded to that, Ebola crisis, and a couple of other ones that I've gone through. And now here we are encountering something that is it's touched us all so very deeply. In the course of action, just to pass on a few things that have come across the desk, just to bring you up to date, there's some closings that have occurred in our community. Again, I'm just going to caution you to either check these locations out or their websites. The North Canton YMCA Child Care, again, it's closed till April the 3rd. The North Canton Chamber, they closed on the 17th until further notice. Our public library at North Canton Public Library, they closed March 17th. They're scheduled reopening on April the 6th. And with talking with Dr. Gianmarco, our North Canton Little League first pitch, that's been postponed. It was scheduled to open on the 25th of April, but that's been canceled. So much of this, again, is a work in progress. Things may be labeled to be determined, but most of all, I just want to thank you all for your patience. And as we work through this together, it's stressful for us, and I know it's very stressful for you. But please, we're trying to do our best to ensure the safety of our citizens and our employees. So I just thank you for your presence, or your patience, and together we'll just see this through. I want to thank you for your time and attention and the privilege to speak with you this afternoon. Thank you. Stay safe and stay well.